Coming up on this edition of the Rainier Report, soldiers charge into training, MPs prepare for the unexpected, and a special guest talks with soldiers on JBLM. Hello and welcome to the Rainier Report. I'm Army Sergeant Brian Spradlin. The daily grind of operations in Afghanistan can be extremely dangerous. Specialist Tim Morgan tells us about how 4th Stryker Brigade soldiers assist an Afghan National Army-led search that could have explosive consequences.
We're taking indirect at that point. Break.
Today's mission is one of the last that infantry soldiers from Aztec Company, 2nd Infantry Division will conduct before their upcoming redeployment.
Want to go check it out? Yeah, let's do it.
With the Afghan Army leading the way, soldiers searched key villages in Zabul province for weapon and explosive caches.
Right now, we're just searching through a Hotech village trying to figure out if there's that HME lab here and also a spotter bed down location. So we found our spotter bed down location and also our spotters, but they jumped into a Perez, and we're trying to fish them out right now.
Within minutes of their arrival, suspected Taliban spotters fled the scene. A chase then began that led soldiers directly into unknown territory.
Like sprint down here as fast as he could. He jumped that wall and did the same thing he did, kind of got down. And once we came over here, we discovered there was a Perez, a hole, and we saw footprints.
At the opening to the end of the tunnel, Aztec Company found themselves in the middle of a homemade explosive lab.
We found 2 black bags, suspected HME, and then we also found 1 AK-47.
Aztec Company then called for explosive ordnance disposal.
We're probably going to bring our small dismount robot on. We're going to have it pull at these bags and see what happens. Better to be remote than have somebody as a person stand on top of it and get hurt.
Once explosive ordnance disposal deemed it safe, soldiers found 4 IEDs and several bags of potassium chlorate. The search for caches today was a success. However, Aztec Company had one last obstacle.
We're just getting ready to exfil, walking past to the truck, and right in front of me is a buried yellow jug.
On the way to his vehicle, a soldier spotted an IED just footsteps away. EOD marked it as a 50-pound IED, large enough to cause catastrophic damage. Reporting from Zabul province, Afghanistan, I'm Army Specialist Tim Morgan.
In theater, moving equipment on the ground isn't always possible, but as Army Sergeant Elwin Lovelace shares, in the Army, when you can't move on the ground, you go above it.
Just days ago, these soldiers went from here to here at the Sling Load Inspector Certification course. Soldiers on JBLM took the 5-day class to learn how to move equipment across the battlefield.
We teach them the characteristics, capabilities, and limitations of the aircraft and all the equipment. Once we teach them that, then we train them up on how to inspect the equipment. And once we see that they know how to inspect the equipment and they pass the test, then they take them out here. We rig up a vehicle or equipment. We have one person inspect it that hasn't touched the vehicle or equipment at all, and then we'll go ahead and do a mission.
A mission that includes moving thousands of pounds of equipment in one of the Army's fastest helicopters wherever they need it.
Knowing how to rig a load and be able to inspect it, so that way everyone's safe and your load is in one piece when it gets to the other location.
Keeping an eye in the sky, this is Army Sergeant Elwin Lovelace for the Rainier Report.
Training soldiers isn't always easy, but as Army Sergeant Nate Bowen tells us, with some hard training, you can achieve shocking results.
Taser, taser, taser.
Why would these military police from 3rd Stryker Brigade put themselves through something like that?
So when you're hitting your subject, you know what their body's going through. You know at that moment in time would be the time to strike in terms of getting them in handcuffs. And say, for instance, if you just happen to touch the wire or the taser at the wrong time and you catch the shock on the hand, you're not just like, oh crap, lose all sight of everything. You actually know how to react to it. It's because you know what to expect.
It's all part of a 2-day training program to certify them on the use of electronic control devices, or ECDs. Commonly known as tasers, they're another non-lethal weapon the MPs can use to defuse dangerous situations.
This helps a lot. It prevents injuries. We don't have to switch to lethal. We have another option between clubbing someone or taking them down or using a pistol.
These tasers apply a shock of 50,000 volts in 5-second bursts and pierce through up to 2 inches of clothing. Every MP must go through one exposure to certify on the weapon. After the worst of it, they drill and drill on the proper use of the taser, starting with the basics of using it in the field, working their way up to the kinds of unpredictable real-world scenarios where their judgment needs to be as fast as their reflexes. This training wraps up the end of a validation process that'll put some of them out on patrol just days later.
Have a knife, what are you going to pull?
Bang, bang. All right. For the Rainier Report, I'm Army Sergeant Nate Bowen.
Military police respond to some situations that could be a parent's worst nightmare. That makes training for these scenarios all the more important. Army Sergeant Nate Bowen has the story.
Military police from Joint Base Lewis McChord are training for the kind of scenario that's made for some gruesome headlines recently. It's called active shooter training, and it's the kind of scenario no MP wants to encounter, but must know how to neutralize. To that end, they've set up at an abandoned elementary school and are running through the situation in pairs, which takes getting used to for some.
You have to be a little more cognizant of other people in the room. With this, there's children, there's people that, they do speak your language, so you can talk to them. You don't need an interpreter. You can talk to them, guide them around the room.
They have to think their way through it, keeping in mind that anything could happen and surprises are found around every corner. They review the scenario afterwards with an instructor, looking for ways to be safer, faster, and better.
So when you started behind the door, what did you see?
Saw this person standing like this.
Okay. And you heard what?
Gunfire.
Okay. And what did you do?
It could mean the difference between life and death one day. For the Rainier Report, I'm Army Sergeant Nate Bowen.
Coming up, a special guest talks with soldiers on JBLM.
Tuition assistance is back. Once again, get full military financial support for your college education through tuition assistance. Visit your education center for more information about using tuition assistance for your college education. Or visit the website goarmyed.com.
Welcome back. JBLM hosted a guest speaker who shared his ideas on leadership with soldiers. As specialist Heath Graham shows, rising to the challenge of leadership is a slam dunk.
Duke University head basketball coach Mike Krzyzewski visited Joint Base Lewis McChord and spoke to Army leaders. Coach K was accompanied by 1st Corps Commanding General Robert Brown, who played for Krzyzewski when he coached at the United States Military Academy. Coach K spoke of the importance of leadership in inspiring the people who look to you for motivation and purpose.
I was sincere about the words I said about that they are the most respected and the best team in our society, and maybe give them a few insights on what we do in leadership. It may be the same things they do, but maybe termed a little bit differently, and hopefully I was able to shed a little bit of light on that today.
For the 5th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment, I'm Specialist Heath Graham.
The 42nd Military Police are holding their leaders' feet to the fire during the Dragon Fighter Challenge. Army Sergeant Mitch Ternay showcases the event.
It's about 30 to 36 hours. We're calling it the Ultimate Dragon Fighter Challenge. And it is a team competition, if you will, with non-commissioned officers paired up with officers. And they'll go through about 8 different events over the next 30, 36 hours continuous. The main purpose behind the Dragon Fighter Challenge was that we really want to promote leader development. We want to promote resiliency, and we want to show the younger soldiers that at all levels, regardless of rank or position, how important teamwork is across the board. Well, I think the biggest thing, and which is really important to me so far, is the heart, and heart goes so far with me. It's caring for each other, not just the people on their team, but their other competitors, whether they were rooting for them, whether they're out there trying to be a safety for them, and that healthy competition that really drives people to do their best.
Come on.
That does it for this edition of the Rainier Report. For these stories and more, visit our Facebook page at facebook.com/fifthmpad. I'm Army Sergeant Brian Spradlin. Thanks for watching.